Today, we have got loads of bits and pieces to talk about, from AnimeCon UK to a roundup of what we thought of the spring lineup. This is Undisputed Anime Podcast. Welcome to the show.
This energy is great. How many coffees have you had this morning?
One, but it was an extra shot.
So it was basically 2 coffees.
One with a dash of energy.
Whatever it takes to get the show did.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Undisputed Anime Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Zane Taichou, and as always, I'm joined by my besto friendo. He is the man that's read over 100 manga, aka he is also the Wizard King who's read over 100 manhwa, aka Susu Day.
What, like it's hard?
What, like it's hard?
Yeah. to read 100 manga? What? Like,
you've been updating your list, haven't you?
I was talked into it by a friend and I guess colleague. Our friend who we went to AnimeCon last weekend with. Yes, the creator
friend
and host of the Manga Attack podcast. And he had basically explained to me that like he's been every time he's reading something new now, he's updating his like Annie list to show that he's done that. And I was like, you know what, this will actually make tracking what I have and haven't read much easier, and it also make recommending things better, because a lot of the time someone will like, oh, I've been reading this, I'm like, oh, if you like this, I read this one manga like 3 years ago and it was about this and that, but I can never remember the name. So
I think I remember a lot of that when we were at AnimeCon, where I remember him saying specifically, like, there was a manga which had like a lady on the front with a pipe, and we were like, is it this? And he's like, no, I think it's this. It just went on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm doing my part for our friendship circle by keeping better track of what I have read, so that when it comes to recommendations, I'm in a better position to do so. And of course, like, AniList is being great for that right now, because it not only does anime and movies and manga, it also allows you to add manhwa and stuff on there as well, which is super handy for me, because I read a lot of manhwa. It's just a lot easier to pick up than manga sometimes. And by that, I mean, it's like kind of, I guess it's better for reading like on a digital device. Because obviously by design, it's designed to be read from like top to bottom. So
I think we've talked about it before. Like, it's definitely tailored for the Webtoons app, or you know, like you said, a digital platform.
And that makes it and that just makes it like much easier to read when you're like commuting, or like, you know, if you've got like a moment, like it's a lot more accessible in that way. So but what, like, reading that many is hard. Sorry, I'm cranky because I've got my son here with me.
For our audio listeners, Susu Day has a blue little crab figure balancing.
Yeah, he's so strong.
Balancing on his hand, but the crab is also lifting a pen.
So strong, so proud, so proud. It could be even worse. I'm already derailing this whole thing, because now he's holding a tiny gun. He's much more dangerous now. Like, he absolutely slaughtered the Gundam that he took it from. You know what? I actually like this better. I think the Gundam's better without the gun, and the crab looks better with it. That's how it's going to be now.
Excellent. Does your crab have a name?
No, the crab does not have a name. The crab is... I'm too scared to
Nameless.
name the crab.
Nameless warrior.
It's there. It keeps me on track when I'm at work. You know, every time I think about procrastinating, it's staring right at me. So
Beautiful. Excellent. Hey, if this is your first time listening, Undisputed Anime is a podcast on various different platforms. Every 2 weeks, we get together, me and him, and what we like to do is give you all the anime recommendations, sometimes reviews on YouTube and podcast platforms around the world. Did you like my DO?
This energy is amazing.
Thank you. If you like what you do, make sure to hit a subscribe and like the video. That helps us out in a big bad way. And also give us a star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Shout out, by the way, to some new subscribers. I've noticed we've had some influx of new people here. So just a little mini shout out to all of these new people that have subscribed. Super Anime from Super Anime Podcast have subscribed to our channel. Thank you. We appreciate the love. Unbox X Everything and Beyond K and others as well. So if you like them, want a shout out, make sure to drop a subscribe. Happy.
If Kira was here, she could say that. She can speak. She can read Cyrillic, so she'd be able to do that. So
talented lady.
I cannot. I see that one character and I'm like, that is a tiny screaming mouth. And then she'd slap me on the back of the head and tell me that that's insensitive.
That is a little bit, yeah. But there you go. Oh boy. Just before we do talk about AnimeCon and spring lineup that we've watched and stuff, I am going to derail us slightly for my own personal agenda. For people who are unaware, I am a absolute fanboy when it comes to Fairy Tail and Eden Zero. This may shock you. I know. You may think, Zane, I thought you had immaculate taste. Yes, I do. But I also like the junk food as well. So if, like me, you like a little bit of Fairy Tail, you like a little bit of Eden Zeros, good news. Eden Zero was on the cover of Weekly Shonen magazine because it is the final chapter after 6 long years.
Feels like the perfect time to start reading.
Get collecting of Eden Zero. So, hey, it's finally coming to an end. And what's also slightly crazy on this as well, just to show a little bit more, Eden Zero is getting an open world RPG video game. Can you believe it?
That is new information, and I can see it. I can see it working if done well. It's definitely like much more expansive than some of the other Eden Zeros that came before it.
Eden Zeros.
Other fairy tales.
Are you being saucy?
I'm just saying. I've been joking for years that it's just gonna be. We had Rave Master, then we had Fairy Tale, which is Rave Master but with wizards, and then we had Eden Zero, which is just Fairy Tale in space.
What?
And then we got Black Rock, which is just Fairy Tale but like Demon Kings.
What?
And now they've released Fairy Tale, or they're going to be releasing Fairy Tale, but it's a farming sim.
You don't say.
Rolling right into it.
Yeah, what a segue. Monster Rising, a farming RPG. Oh, well, no, sorry. I can never get the name right of this. I think it's called Farmagia. Farmagia?
I say Farmagia, probably. Or Farmagia.
Magia. is getting an anime adaptation. For those who don't know, this is a video game that was announced for the Nintendo Direct for the Switch. Character designed by the same creator as Fairy Tail and Eden Zero, which also looks like half the monsters from Fairy Tail are in this.
I can't wait to see Happy and Lucy.
And I think
I'm honestly, I'm gonna say I've got no shade to Mashima san, but
bro is secure in the bag.
It's very clear. It is very, very clear that they have a particular heroine in mind. They're like, you know what? She worked pretty well in the last one. Can I get away with using her again? Yes, I can. Just got to change her moveset.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's like when you play a fighting game and you've got the same character but in like several different styles because they've got different powers from different parts of like the anime,
different costumes or something. Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what form Happy takes as well. Because will he be just a flying cat? Will he be a robot again? Will he be some sort of other creature this time?
Will we see is it Archelegio? No, Archelegio? No.
Oh, you talk about the dark dragon.
The big, yeah.
Maybe. I think is it Acknowledger or something like that? I can't remember. I cannot remember.
You know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
You know.
If you don't know, go out there and read every single version of Rave Master, Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, and you'll understand.
Yeah. And then you'll be ready for Fairy Tail 1,000-Year Quest, which is starting in July.
Wow. Fantastic.
Wow. More Fairy Tail and its variants.
It is. This is it's all the different variants. They've escaped into the timeline, into the true timeline.
What a time to be alive. Should we talk about AnimeCon?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We went to AnimeCon. That's right. It was fun. I had a blast.
I had a really, really good time. Helped by like I think it would have been fine just the two of us, but like it was absolutely much more a blast to go with a bigger group of people this time around. It's like got to see our good friend Ray getting fully inducted into an anime con because it had been the first he'd been to.
Yeah.
And it was also good to hang around with, there was loads of other creators there, and it was great to kind of, hang out.
Yeah. It was it was amazing not only to see like people in the same space as us, as creators, as podcasters, and catching up with them. It was also great to meet some of these vendors as well. Like we had like a great discussion with the vendor for one of the Gunpla stalls, which was RC Corner, and they were absolutely
backwards QR code if anyone wants to scan the screen.
We'll drop a link in the description, don't worry. And they were fantastic. Like they really gave us some recommendations. They even had this like special stall which allowed people who never maybe got to play with Gunpla before. They handed out free boxes of RX 7A, like this one.
Baby's first Gunpla. It was such a blast to just like sit at a table in amongst this card and build a tiny little Gunpla model.
And we've said it before in the last couple of episodes, the ability to just kind of sit down and relax sometimes is like well needed. And again, just kind of like decompress after like a sensory overload of like different stores and different talks and all these other things. It's just nice to chill out and maybe just build some Gunpla.
Yeah, like, and it was honestly really like cool. It was really I'm absolutely blown away by how much of a highlight it was to me to be able to do
Mm,
that. Because like even to the point where it wasn't even something on my radar that
yeah.
I would want to do. But
Mm,
sitting and doing that, like, and it's such a simple one. There was like no cutting tools required. There was no glue required. It was all just like click into place. Everything
hmm
works out. But now I'm like sitting here like, do I need to start doing Gunpla for real? Because I really enjoyed doing it. So
Yeah.
it's possible that by just give like you they gave like an entryway for people to
hmm
give it a go in the middle of this con, and this is obviously to the credit of the business itself, not the con. Like this was
Yeah.
like the business did this off their own back. It was incredible.
Absolutely. And again, like you said, to be able to do this for free as well, just handing out free Gunpla saying, hey, have a bash at this, see what you think. And yeah, I think it's amazing. So yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to Bandai for allowing them to have that setup as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, really cool. Um, Manga wise, I was
You
surprised there was.
guys, you guys, you guys.
Yeah. So here's the story. There was only two sort of vendors, I'd say, when it came to manga, which was Waterstones and Forbidden Planet. And Waterstones was great, had a real, I'd say, high premium sort of layout, if you know what I mean, because they had hardback versions, they had
Yeah,
a good array of different things, didn't they?
they were looking to sell what is popular.
Mm,
Like they like you looking through their selection, it's like this is all stuff that is very clearly go popular and will sell in this sort of setting. But it's
mhm.
like if you're looking for anything a little bit more obscure, you're kind of a bit out of luck.
Yeah, and I guess like they're very much the way I see the stand is very much like a completist sort of because they had a lot of box sets there. Like again, if you were like thinking, oh, maybe it's about time I pick up some Bleach, they had a whole box set there for you, sort of thing. So, which is again great if you're looking for specific series and stuff. I think with the Forbidden Planet one, they just had like stacks of what is popular. Free Ren, there was stacks of it. JJK, a whole row of them.
Spy
JoJo's,
Family, JoJo,
a whole table. Yeah,
One
all
Piece, like the One Piece table was stacked.
yeah, yeah. So I think they kind of instead of having a variety of like different genres and different types, they just kind of went, here's just a whole table of JoJo. Here's just a whole table of like My Hero Academia and stuff.
But that itself wasn't the biggest selling point for Forbidden Planet, I think. And this is what I think got you and got our friend is that
Mm.
they had these bargain boxes, which was like
They had bargain bins.
bargain bins, yeah, and it was full of your usual fare. It was like it was copies of titles which had blemishes on the covers that like someone had obviously gotten a bit too friendly with in the store. They bent back the
Mm.
cover or the spine. I think one of you picked up a copy of something which had a hole punch hole in the. It was you, yeah.
I picked up a copy of Go Go Loser Ranger, Volume 6, and just I didn't notice this at the time neither. It's only when I got home and I started taking pictures of my haul. Um, there is just actually I'll zoom in a little bit. Just there is a hole punch.
Yeah.
Hole punch.
Why? Who knows?
Who knows?
But you guys
Does
found
it
some really good stuff.
for a great price? I mean,
Yeah.
is that painful? Like it will complete my collection. I'm
Yeah.
not too fussed on that.
But you guys found like there was like such good stuff in there. Like you found copies of like Free Ren. You found copies
Mm.
of like Dungeon Meshi,
Yes, Delicious and Dungeon.
and that's obviously like hot at the moment. Like people like I was really surprised that you were able to find that.
Yeah.
What else did you find? I'm trying to think of what the other titles you got.
I also picked up Tokyo Babylon,
You've been looking to pick up Tokyo Babylon for ages.
probably since
So,
like we went to MCM, I think.
yeah. You could just never find a copy. Like, they never had it. So,
Yeah, or I sometimes I'll sit on it for a while to see if it drops in price.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't think that one's really wavered for a while. So yeah, I'm happy with these pickups, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I could have honestly spent more if I hadn't tried to
I think if it
restrain.
hadn't been, if Forbidden Planet had had a bigger space,
Mm-hmm.
like, this isn't like a fault, this isn't a critique, but if they had a bigger space, I probably would have wanted to spend more time there. But it was quite, at a con, you've got a limited amount of space to keep your stock, and then you've got to keep people flowing in and out. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really great for, like, kneeling in the middle of an aisle and going through every single box.
Yeah. It's but again, it's a great way to get punters in and stuff, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
fair play.
Yeah, it's good stuff, like, reading wise. And I'm a huge fan of an artist alley, and
Tell me about it.
it was great, guys. I love artist alley, and that can be demonstrated by me being a poor person who has diligently collected business cards for every single store, because there was lots of stuff that I was like, I really would like some of this, but right now I don't have the money or the space for it. I need to work out where these things are going to go before I buy them. It was good. So many good creators, so much great art. Like, obviously, my son, this nameless crab, was purchased from AnimeCon, and they had bigger versions that could hold your phone, which is wild. That's like a phone
Oh
holder.
yeah.
There was so much good stuff there, and everyone you chat to are like in the nice alley. It's just like super friendly, because they're there. They're trying to make a living doing what they like to do. So, if you get to go to a con, spend some time in Artist Alley, have a chat with people that are really interesting.
Absolutely. I was surprised how much like Delicious and Dungeon merch was there. Like, do you know what I mean? I honestly thought that this had taken off as well as it had, but
It's
it
the
feels
hot
like
thing right now. It's Genshin's still there. Genshin is ever present. There's now starting to be a lot more Star Rail stuff, I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And Delicious in a Dungeon, JJK, your
Mhm.
standard JoJo like fare.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff in there. It's like, and when you go to Artist Alley as well, you kind of like get thrown out of like your, not your art comfort zone, but like when you like look at art on like things like Instagram, the algorithm is obviously going to show you more similar stuff to what you like. Whereas, like, if you go to an Artist Alley, you're kind of seeing styles that you might not necessarily lean towards, which is pretty fun for me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great cosplays that I got to see.
Incredible cosplays, yeah.
We did a little cosplay, didn't we, as a group? We all kind of did a little Demon Slayer,
Little casual cosplay, wasn't it? It was
yeah.
the lazy man's cosplay, the putting on the Harry and
yeah, the little jackets, I guess, in their sort of pattern and stuff, and then have Ray rock the Inosuke mask that like burnt him to death. But yeah.
But it was great. There were so many like Demon Slayer cosplayers there, and even though we like, obviously there were people who were like cosplayed like fully, and we obviously just like had these like casual cosplays. They were still like acknowledging us. They were like they were pulling us into their like space and stuff, and like making comments based on like our like outfits and stuff based on what they were dressed as.
Because we did get invited to their
they did a cosplay meetup.
Yeah. But due to time restraints and the content that we were trying to shoot and stuff, we couldn't sadly make it. But there was a what's his name? The Wind Hashira. Someone cosplayed as as the Wind Hashira, and he
Oh, he
kept
put his
like
hand on my
shouting at
shoulder. And, like he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I can't believe you do this."
because you were cosplaying as Tanjiro.
Yeah, it's like,
and
why would you bring a demon here?
Which is hilarious, yeah. And funny enough, that week there was the episode where Tanjiro had the fight with the Wind Hashira.
Yeah.
So I think that's what made it even more hilarious.
It was very good. Like I say this every time I go to a con now. It's like, it's just nice to go to a place where it's like kind of your people, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how hard you engage with it. But it's like kind of like the people who are there are people who like the same things as you. So it's kind of like it's a fun space. It's like safe space for people like in that circle, which is nice. So
Absolutely.
And we know that like Ray, who hadn't been to a con before, he was obviously nervous, understandably. He didn't want to get pulled into anything, and he's usually such an outspoken, like get involved in anything kind of thing. It was so weird seeing him so shy. He gave off like dad taking his like two sons to the con vibe. He was just like like walking around like with his arms folded and like.
Yeah, this is it. Like on most days, he's somewhere in between. He's somewhere in between a Bakugo or an Inosuke, like depending on how much Haribo he's had. But he's kind of like a Bakugo who Genus has combed their hair. Like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like he was kind of, but he also did the classic "I'm choosing violence, but secretly" by wearing a T-shirt that says "My favorite anime is Pokemon," but it has Digimon behind each word. Which shout out to the anime freshman who stopped him and was like, "What does your T-shirt mean?" Like,
yeah, he was already getting involved before we even arrived. Like he got involved, and we got that cryptic message saying, "Oh yeah, I met some people who say they know you," and we were like, "What?
Excuse me."
Also, like shout out to anime freshmen. They were going hard with like activities, and I think they were meant to do a live podcast, weren't they? But there had been some scheduling stuff. So they just use their space and their time to like kind of do challenges with people,
which was really cool, really fun. I forgot I did the JoJo pose off.
You showed your age. I'm sorry, I'm calling you out. It's like
burn. God,
you almost snapped like a piece of like MDF and left out in the rain.
I went for the Dio, like my knees just that video is not going to see the light of day.
I don't think you get to make that decision.
Yeah, fun stuff. So yeah, thank you to AnimeCon for inviting us as well.
Such a good experience.
A great experience.
Really, really enjoyed it. Great space. Hope it just continues to flourish more and more. I think the only downside was the Saturday happened to be on the most biblical rain I've seen all year. It was pouring down, and that's not conducive for people who were in full cosplays.
This is true. Before I forget, voice actors. They had an amazing lineup of voice actors. Don't make that face.
Do you want to tell your story? Do you want to fanboy out a little bit?
You tell the story.
I don't think it's much of a story, but our boy Zane over here, he did get to briefly meet and get a selfie with the very talented Xenos, who voices Hawks among other popular characters. I don't know if you were joking around or not. Definitely to me, seemed like your hand was a little bit shaky afterwards. Like you got those nerves.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, again, I said this before. I do get the nerves, the jitters, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, he was great. I said, "Sorry to disturb you. Is it possible to get a selfie?" And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So yeah, very cool dude. it was also, we caught a little bit of Alejandro's what's the word I'm looking for?
Panel.
Like panel, yes. AKA Sino, the VTuber. And funny enough, as we got there, he was telling a story about Monarch and like IT issues and stuff, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great to punch my mic. See, I'm getting nervous already.
He's got the jets.
We're getting already. But yeah, it was great to see them in person and yeah, hear their stories and stuff.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good. I'm gonna imagine that every single anime con, the lineup's gonna get bigger, stuff like that.
I think so. I know we've been talking about this for some time, and we'll definitely move on to the next bit soon. But I really hope this becomes like as big as Anime Expo for the UK. Like, that's where I want this to go. Like, more presence from like Viz Media, from Crunchyroll, from the big, and then having like some sort of major announcements for it as well, like maybe like a new anime series coming out or a movie. Do you know what I mean?
I think we're gonna get there. I think it's like it's humble beginnings. Their work, the organizers are putting in the work, trying to make these like the best that they can be. So real like big like shout outs to them as well. They put on really good space, and obviously I know that with the extra kind of publicity and the extra enjoyment people are having, that they'll be able to do bigger and better things next time. I guess it'll be London up next again.
Yeah, I imagine going by history, it will probably see another London one, maybe February, if that's going to be the timetable they stick with.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly let you guys know when the next one is. And again, for those people who stopped us and said hello and chatted with us, thank you so much. We always appreciate it. And yeah, let us know your thoughts. If you went to Anime Con, if you plan on going to future Anime Cons, we want to know your thoughts and feedback. So let us know in the comments down below.
Do it.
Oh, wow. Should we talk about some anime that came out in the spring?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could tell you that I had been more diligent with it, but I've been a very busy boy. But
hence why we need a spa day.
Yeah, but I've got some thoughts. I've got some picks that I've really enjoyed. So
so going to our AniList page, and again, if you use AniList, feel free to follow us on there. You can check out what we're watching, what we're planning to watch, and everything else in between. We had quite the lineup of different things that we had planning to watch and were watching.
Or will watch one day.
We'll watch one day. Was there anything you want to start off with?
I would just like to go strong right out the gate. Ranger Reject. I refuse. I'm not going to call it what is written on there. Ranger Reject. Absolute banger. It just, every single episode, and I'm not up to date, but every single episode I've watched so far has been absolute delight. They've done such a good job of adapting this into anime, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really agree with you. It's gone beyond what I read up to, and every episode, it's really weird because it's always probably like the last thing I watch in my weekly lineup, and I'm always pleasantly surprised of like how good the plot is moving along and how like almost edge of my seat I am sometimes with it, because I'm just like, oh man. And I guess the other thing as well is some of the fights, I don't think the fights get talked about a lot, but every fight I'm kind of like, I have no idea how they're going to pull this off, considering they're so weak normally, and their power is kind of limited of just mimicking
transformation and stuff like that.
Transformations and stuff, yeah.
And revival, because obviously the main character is immortal for all intents and purposes. So it's like, how do you use these very, very weak powers by comparison to take on much more powerful ones.
Yeah. And, you know, especially when one of the latest episodes I watched, they're doing these sort of test trials and they're going up against like established rangers.
Yeah.
And it, again, it's kind of like, how are they going to fight their way out of this situation of like, they have to partner up with the other candidates and, you know,
Yeah.
all this other stuff.
I'm a big
I
fan of
love
like
it.
these like sort of David and Goliath sort of situations where you've got
Mm.
kind of like you have someone who is weak and they know that they're weak, but they take on much stronger opponents, and through creativity and like quickness, they kind of like are able to overcome a bigger foe.
And strategy. And
Yeah.
strategy as well. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think it's so good. And I've even I've even moved to the dub version now because I'm just kind of like, again, easy watching. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, shout out to the dub actors because I think they're killing it right now.
It's just good stuff, guys. It's good stuff.
Where do you want to go next?
Oh, I mean, you wanna say one of the things you've been watching other than
Yeah,
Ranger
go on then.
Rejects?
So I've been watching Windbreaker.
How's that
Again,
going?
really enjoying this. Really, really enjoying this. And it's here's the thing. It's easy to compare it to Tokyo Revengers because it's a gang of delinquents who are always fighting, etc., etc. Now, what separates this from Tokyo Revengers, and I think what makes it better, is that first of all, it's not a rinse and repeat that we see a lot with Tokyo Revengers. Like, there's always kind of like these certain beats with it that just feel repetitive. With Windbreaker, it feels completely character driven. Each character has like, of course, their own motivations and such. But I guess the other sort of side of it is that they are delinquents and they're doing it for a just cause. Like they fight other gangs to look after the community.
Yeah.
And the community is like they're almost like their own vigilante group, if you know what I mean.
Love that.
But the community is like 100% behind them. So they're like these young guys who, you know, protect our bakery, that protects like our restaurants and stuff, against all these troubled youths and gangs and stuff. They give them, you know, free bread in the morning for breakfast and stuff. They're like, keep your strength up and all this other stuff. But also
Protect
it has like
us.
look after yourselves. But also it has like some absolute crazy fights and all that jazz as well. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really like the MC as well, just because they have like this whole sort of, because of their looks, like they naturally have two hair color tones.
How
It's just
bold.
like a, yeah, and like people think that he does it to dye his hair to be like, you know, to stand out and all this other stuff, but it's not. It's just the way his hair grows. And he's kind of built up this sort of resilience, if you know what I mean, and that's why he's kind of uh a brute in some ways, like offish in some ways. So I think it's a real nice sort of character journey to go from like this, I guess, hard kid who's been bullied, and that's why he has this resilience to giving back to the community and kind of finding his space in this gang of delinquents that have taken him in.
Oh, glad to hear it. I didn't. It's one of those ones where I've not really had like the inclination to watch it. As you know, I didn't really enjoy Tokyo Revengers, so I've kind of like been, I guess, not avoiding it, but it's like it's not really been on my radar to watch like this. But you know, it sounds pretty good. It might be one of those things where I might yield to you and I might give it a go, just see what I think of the first episode or two.
I really, for those who fell off Tokyo Revengers or just didn't like it, but still want something that's kind of level. It's not like too bombastic with magic systems and stuff like that, but a real kind of nice story about, again, being accepted by a group of people. I think this is really, really good. And it's got a banging opening as well. Really
Well, that's
good
the
opening.
most important thing at the end of the day. It's like, can it hang? Can it
Can
hang?
it hang on my Spotify playlist?
Yeah, that's a big consideration for me.
That is the consideration. Yeah, absolutely. What else have we got on this list?
Kaiju number 8.
Ooh, you're going for all the big hitters, aren't you?
Oh, they're the ones that I'm like doing my best to keep up on. Like there are a lot more obscure ones on the list that I haven't had a chance to start yet, or I've only just realized were there. But Kaiju number 8 has been like kind of knocking out the park as far as I'm concerned. So here's the thing, like how like when you're on YouTube and stuff like that, you often see like videos recommended for you, and because of the circles and the videos that I watch, I get like video recommendations, and I'm seeing a lot of recommended videos that are saying, oh, Kaiju number 8 has already fallen off and stuff like that, or it's like already doing this wrong, and I'm like, I've not watched the videos, but I'm kind of like, I don't think that they're right regardless.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like I'm very surprised to be seeing all this, because I'm like, this is doing everything right from as far as I can see, and I will be critical of something that I think is not done right in an anime. But I just don't see where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that, because I've seen a lot online about some people calling it like the Wish.com version of Attack on Titan, and
that makes more sense to me now, because I'm like, oh, okay, it's the Attack on Titan fanboys coming for it. And that makes me feel more vindicated in my opinions because of how I feel about Attack on Titan.
Yeah, so I could probably see where they're coming from, like comparing, say, season 1 of Attack on Titan, and maybe to an extent some other parts, but I wouldn't say it's like a variant of it in any real way. Mainly because the main characters are completely different, and they have like completely different goal sets as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, Aaron's was to get rid of all the Titans in the beginning. I suppose, is Kafka looking to get rid of all the kaijus?
Yeah, he's looking to stand beside his childhood friend in the defense force and to get rid of all the kaijus. So I get that. I do get that. It's like kind of a similar framing as a goal, but
Sure.
I think it couldn't be more different in the way that it's executed. So there's no like that. Like obviously, Eren Yeager is filled with rage, regardless of how you look at it and what point you look at it in the story. And then you got Kafka, and he's just kind of he's a himbo. he's dumb as fuck, and he's got this power that is way bigger than him. It's like what's happened to him is way beyond anything he was as a main character prepared to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. It's one of the shows I really look forward to week. I may have said that before in here, but I love this so much. Again, watching this dub, because again, the turnaround time for the dub is like insane.
Yeah, they are just smashing out these dubs now. The production process is great, because like before you'd be waiting weeks, if not like upwards of months, to get the dub through, and now it's like you're getting it the same week.
Well, Loser Ranger, I think it's like maybe 3 weeks behind. Like the dub version is like 3 weeks behind the currently aired one, shall we say? Where Kaiju 8 is like, I don't know, 24 hours, 48 hours.
That'll be Crunchyroll's doing though, won't it? Because Loser Ranger isn't on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Again, just shocked with the twists and turns. And again, the action's incredible. The designs are amazing. I really love the designs for, I think we had Kaiju number 10, which is like a big red one.
Yeah.
Amazing design.
I'm loving the fact that you're enjoying it because like I know what's coming because I read the manga, but I know you
Hmm.
don't read the manga. At least you don't read it to the extent that I do. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like it's really really cool to see that you're enjoying it as purely a watcher of the anime.
Hmm.
So
Exciting stuff. And again, I think season two's already been announced. There's a mobile game coming as well, so I'm interested to see how that performs.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
exciting times ahead. um, is it my turn to pick one?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is indeed.
Yes, it is. Let's talk about slime.
You want to talk about
Let's talk.
slime? Is this a YouTube video intended for like 10 to 13-year-olds?
No, it's not. um, I always enjoy this. I have to admit, this has been a little mid. In if I'm brutally honest, the first couple of handful episodes are very chatty episodes. Now they're for good reason. They're world building. We came off a very hot angle at the end of the last season, so it makes sense that they kind of set the status quo leading into this series. But it's really killed my momentum for it. Like this is probably again on my sort of backlog towards the end of the week instead of like I'm excited to see this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've not been keeping up with the slime anime for forever. Not through lack of not enjoying it, but just because I feel like there are other things that I would rather watch, especially because I read the manga. I'm not like missing out on
Mm-hmm.
like what happens next in the story, and I feel like where season 3 is at is like very very close to where the manga is currently at.
Really?
Yeah, like looking at it, it's like, I mean, you could argue that an anime is able to like kind of stretch the content much further than the manga
Mm-hmm.
is, but it feels like, obviously through the synopsis is there, it's like they're planning like this like big festival to draw people to Tempest to like get
Mm-hmm.
them on the world stage and stuff. um and that's kind of like we're in the like tail end of that at the moment.
Got you.
Obviously I think the anime is at the moment, but this is based on just purely on a guess, is probably got the Holy Knights coming.
Yeah. Just to bring you up to speed a little bit. So the last episode I watched, it's more about the vampire demon lord and how she's got a certain person in a crystal, and basically the holy knight that was trained. I'm going to be so bad with names right now. Is it Sismay? No, not Sismay. The holy knight that's in all the promotional stuff.
I can't remember her name, but she's another person who got isekai'd.
Yeah,
She's
yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
she's from Japan. She uses like, well, she looks like she's come from Japan.
Yeah,
She's got very stoic, and like she uses a sword, and she's
all that jazz. Yeah, is working for the vampiric demon lord. Um, there's like stuff going on with a human kingdom who wanted to go to war with the monster kingdom, but Rimuru kind of like reconvinced them and stuff. And there's kind of like a little turbulence there about like the king and who he's, devoted to, and all sorts of. Again, it's
didn't
kind of.
Diablo go over and
He
kind of
did.
set the bar for how the relationship was going to work.
Exactly, yeah. But also there was also references to the OVAs, because I was like, I don't recognize this character's name, and then it wasn't until like I went to a wiki page I was like, oh, it's from an OVA that I haven't watched. Perfect. So again, even those conversation bits where you're like, I'm struggling to follow this, and then it's like an extra layer of I'm struggling to follow this because I don't watch an OVA. God damn it! Now I need to watch an OVA.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't think that people should stop doing that, but they have to also understand that like the moment you start putting additional stuff, additional requirements to fully follow the
Mm-hmm.
plot, it's like kind of it's like if you it's like if you put like a key plot point in a My Hero Academia movie, which not
Mm.
everyone is going to have access to see, or it's like it's something that is like not in the manga
Yeah.
or something like that.
Mm.
It's like I guess the closest example I can think of is The Mandalorian, because I only watched The Mandalorian, and
Mm-hmm.
between season 3 and season 4, I think it was, I was
Yeah.
like, how did they get this new ship? And then I found out that in the Book of Boba Fett,
Mm-hmm.
that all happened there, and like, and how Grogu went on and had this whole like arc with
Luke.
Luke and stuff like that. I'm like, if I didn't like go onto the Wikipedia and read that
Mm.
that was something that happened, I was like, I would never have known that these key plot points had happened in a different show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah, it's an interesting way to do it, and especially again with anime, considering sometimes those things are never referenced ever again. Like we've talked about movies, never like Naruto movies that have never been referenced
Yeah,
in the canon scenario. So
yeah.
yeah,
I think
wild.
the only canon Naruto movie is the last.
Yeah, the one where he falls in love with Hinata and stuff.
Yeah, because like that I think that's the one. Like I think that there is a little bit of mention of the Akutskis and stuff like that in there, and obviously it does end with them getting married and stuff like that. Is like that leads
Yeah.
directly into it as like a nice closing chapter for Naruto as the main character.
Mm.
I digress. We have moved away. We we were talking about the slime anime.
Yeah, how did we get to Naruto fighting on the moon from the slime anime? Jesus. Anything else you want to talk about?
So I've been bad, and I've been rewatching Naruto.
You
So
have, haven't you?
yes, I have. I am just about at the fight with Naruto and Sasuke at the waterfall.
The first one.
The first one, yeah. I'm at the point. I'm
Mm.
at the point where Sasuke's still in like the box, and Naruto is currently fighting the Sound Village guy who's got the bone kick against me.
Oh yeah, he was really cool. I really liked
Yeah,
him.
and but the Kiba's fight's coming to an end, and he smelled that the Sand Ninjas are arriving and stuff. So I'm at that point before Garrett arrives, and then obviously Rock Lee's gonna arrive and do his like drunken fighting. So I'm really enjoying rewatching Naruto at the moment, but it is taking away all of my anime time too. Especially when I just realized that on this list we've got like I didn't even know that the New Gate had an anime.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea, and I love the manga.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on the tangent here and say I love that arc that you're on at the moment. And how does Orochimaru convince like all the other nations that there is a sound nation and it's never mentioned again?
He's just like kind of I think that it was like he did it from the like shadows, didn't he? He just like founded this nation. He probably had like a feudal lord in his pocket, or he was controlling a feudal lord.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and he was kind of like, he posed as in disguise. It's kind of been a bit of a mess. But the Sound Village is a secret village, isn't it? It's like kind of it's not it's not a publicly acknowledged one anymore.
Sure.
But you do see that like in Shippuden when you have some flashbacks of like Sasuke going through the tuning exam as a sound ninja.
What?
Did you not remember? Yeah, in the you see some flashbacks of him like meeting Karen for the first time, and stuff, and it's like during the tuning exams that he does
Really?
after he's gone to Orochimaru's side.
No, I don't remember that. Oh
Well,
man.
give you a reason to give it a rewatch, eh?
Yeah. Wow. So the actual Sound Village is real. It's just
Yeah, I think that the Sound Village is an established village now, but I think it's like kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, you've got the main villages, the 5 villages, and I think that there are just other villages that are less acknowledged, especially if they're related to Orochimaru. But he's obviously got a village full of ninjas that he has been experimenting on, or even if it's not a village, he's just the village is the front for his experimentations. You know, that's my take on it.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, like it's a fake town, but underground. It's like because there was all those like, as you say, those like hideouts that Sasuke, Karen, and the water dude, I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
they were going to each like hideout, weren't they? Like freeing all the experimented.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Because I just thought, just hilarious. Imagine Orochimaru filling out forms like Sound Village, like, and everyone's like, all these like juniors, like, have you ever been to the Sound Village before? No, I don't think I have actually.
To be fair, it's a good example. We have gone on such a tangent here, but I think that it's a good example of the author, like he's like basically showing this is also like the skills of a ninja is like it's like manipulation of like information and making people believe something that isn't true and stuff. It's like deception and whatnot, and Orochimaru is very good at that. So
I bet Danzo is like, I've been to the Sound Village.
He would say he would go anyway. He's like, oh, the Naruto went to the moon. I went to the moon. Sasuke's got the Sharingan, like the last known living Uchiha. He's got the Sharingan. I've got 20 Sharingans.
I've got in just one arm.
Yes, no.
That man's just full of smoke, isn't he?
He's such a pick-me guy. He's just like
loves hyping himself up. I know the elders. I'm on the council. Yeah, tangent over. Done. Order.
I
haven't been keeping up with Remonster.
But you were enjoying Remonster when you were watching it, right?
I was enjoying it. So yeah, this is also kind of fallen off for me. But I've heard, again, it's gone past where I got up to reading wise, but I've heard like people have some hot takes on it in terms of like the character and his motivations compared to like normal isekai where they try to do the right thing and stuff, where he's just kind of like, I'm just going to be a lord and just kind of take advantage of everything at my utensils. Utensils? Yeah, let's go with that. So, yeah, I've fallen off this one, and I have fallen off. I tried to watch the Baki Hammer movie versus Ashura.
How did that go? Oh wow!
Asleep. Yeah,
I feel like they were trying to do like this big cinematic like Rocky versus moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and kudos to them for putting it together. I mean, first of all, I'm not like the biggest fan of Baki Hammer and stuff. I really wanted to get into it, but I'm just not that guy.
The animation style of Baki scares me a little bit. Like the art style scares me a little bit. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone.
It's intense.
Yeah, it's a really intense art style, and some of the clips you see of like that time where he's like with his wife or his girlfriend, and then his dad's there, and his dad's being like way intense and stuff.
Yeah,
like I see clips like that all the time. I'm like, okay. I'd much rather they just like redo the History's Greatest Disciple like into a really good, more modern anime rather than show me these like really roided up guys.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's not much more I could say really. I fell asleep. I woke up to screaming and shouting, and I was like, "Oh, I best turn this off."
Time for
Uh,
bed.
yeah. Um,
That's
did
not my
you
usual dreams.
did you carry on watching Grandpa and Grandma Turn Young Again?
I haven't started it. It's on my list.
Ah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
on my list. Not started it yet. I'm it's like finding the right time to start.
Mm,
It's like what I really need is to go through a phase of like where I'm not feeling like gaming all the time. Because when I'm
yeah.
gaming, I can't really focus on anime.
Mm,
But it's like, if I go through a phase where I'm like, oh, I'm actually really into maybe probably when the days start getting shorter and it starts getting darker earlier, I'll probably
mhm.
be like heavy on anime again. But right
Start
now it's like,
binging.
yeah, right now it's kind of like, I'm just enjoying like picking up and putting down like games. I'm playing so
Mm.
much Star Rail at the moment. Um, Kira's playing a lot of video games at the moment as well. Like
Yeah.
we're doing we're doing a lot of like we're watching a lot of like documentaries and stuff. So it's like I'm just don't
Ah.
have as much time to invest in anime. And when I am watching anime, I'm like, it's 11 o'clock at night. I don't want to
Mm.
sit. I'm gonna watch Naruto because it's like I've seen it before. If I fall asleep and miss a couple of episodes, it's not going to be a huge deal because
Hmm.
I already know what happens. It's kind
Mm.
of that's where I'm at.
That's where you're at.
Yeah.
I've heard online through the grapevine, through the streets, that this is really spicy. Yeah,
Okay.
apparently, like this isn't just so slice of life as we thought it would be. Apparently, this can get like pretty spicy.
Is that right?
So,
Is that right?
so if you're watching this, let us know in the comments because
I got to go. I'm gonna.
so yeah, really interesting. I'm gonna wrap things up with these last two.
Yeah, go ahead by all means.
Demon Slayer is doing some amazing things right now. They are really stretching out the Hashira training arc, but in a good way, with some incredible anime exclusive content like sparring with the Sound Hashira, Tengen, and other things. So yeah, really doing incredible things. I don't know if you saw this week. There's like rumors that the castle.
Yeah, the Demon
arc,
Castle arc is gonna just be a movie.
I've heard it's going to be a trilogy of movies.
I
No.
I wouldn't be unhappy with that because the quality of the movies,
Mm.
at least where I say the quality of the movies, the quality of the last movie, which was Demon Train,
Mm-hmm.
was incredible.
Yeah.
And if they could give me Demon Train for the whole last arc, I would.
3 times as well.
Yeah. The thing is that they would have to be very careful with their release schedule. You'd have to make sure you do not leave it too long in between. Because I don't want to. I don't want to be one of the situations where you see part 1 and then you're waiting for like a year for part 2.
I was going to say, I think it'd be yearly, surely.
That's so much time passing by. It's like
a bit like Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be waiting like that long for the conclusion. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. I'd like it, but then again, I don't want them to overwork themselves. So yeah, if they need a year, give them the year.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. You're correct.
Yeah.
I'm just being impatient.
The last one to talk about is My Disney Academia.
Okay, all right. I'll bite. I'll bite.
I'm in a tricky spot with this right now. Season 7. Am I enjoying season 7? Yeah, I think I am. Is it something I'm looking forward to week? No. Which is bad because it's season 7 of something. And feels like we're edging into Avengers Endgame territory right now.
I think that's what I've been hearing about it. Is like I guess in the same way that the Hashira arc is going. It's like kind of like the preparation for the end game is going on during these arcs. It's kind of like that's a bit of a turn off for some people.
Yeah, and I don't know what's happened as well in terms of like visuals. Not to say the visuals are bad, it's just like I don't feel like I'm getting the same quality. Like if I were to look back at previous seasons, like we always talk about when we talk about My Hero Academia, we always talk about the exams, you know, when they had the sports festival sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the quality there was unbelievable. Now it just doesn't feel like comparable. Like, sure, there's some great fight sequences, some great animation at certain points, but I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm getting apples for apples. And I suppose, you know, the fact that they keep doing these seasons and movie combos, I don't know if that's what's happening. Like we're getting a watered down version of a series because so much work is being done for a movie.
It could also be just generally, I mean, this is unconfirmed, but maybe it's just as a result of changes in the industry in terms of like working standards, because obviously after all that stuff with Mappa came out, it's kind of like, okay, we're noticing that the people who are watching this content don't seem to be enjoying the fact that we are overworking our guys. And maybe as a result of that, they've had to like kind of dial it back, and as a result, there's less polish.
Sure.
I mean, that's just a hypothetical. Like that's just like,
yeah. And again, I could be thinking about it from like a rose tinted glasses point of view of like, you know, maybe I saw a Blu-ray version of the sports festival because normally Blu-ray versions are upscaled and they have time to clean and
you know, they get add extra stuff in and
they get rid of the ghosting and the tinting and stuff. So yeah, maybe it could be my own perception of thinking back and such, but yeah, I don't know, it's just not hitting the same way for me. And like I think I texted you earlier this week, like 2-3 weeks ago, we have a reveal of there's a traitor in the class, and again I won't say it for spoiler reasons, but I was kind of surprised, but then I was just like, oh well, it is what it is. Like and then it wasn't until like 2-3 weeks later I texted you like, oh, I actually learned who the
traitor was.
The traitor was in the class. Like, yeah, I after all these years, I thought I'd be more shocked because it wasn't who I thought it was going to be as well.
They red herring you a few times in that arc. They're like, oh, this is who it's going to be. This is who we want you to believe it's going to be.
I don't know if they did a really good job with the anime though. Because
yeah, I think in the manga there are a few times where it's like kind of we're pointing you in the direction of this character.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, what? No. Surprise.
Surprise, it's this person. So yeah. I'm sticking with it because obviously I'm 7 seasons in. I do like the series and stuff. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I feel a little mid about it.
Well, you know, I guess we'll just see how it goes. Again, with a lot of stuff these days, and I hate saying it, there's so much content of things these days. Some stuff is just better consumed after it's finished. Where you can just watch it all in like one go or read it all in one go. And I think it like a lot of stuff holds up much better as a result of that. So sometimes the waiting can make you build up your own expectations.
Yeah, and you can also build up like your own, I think expectations is probably the right word. I was just thinking like you could probably drum up like your own ideas that don't get fulfilled in some way.
It's like with Stone Ocean. Like obviously everyone was like there was people were like, no, this is how I always imagined Made in Heaven being, like that whole part being, and they didn't do it that way. So my brain can't like my brain. It's like my idea in my own head is like much better than what they did. So it's like, but that's your thing. It's like,
yeah, it's I remember Russell T Davis, the writer of Doctor Who, said because someone wrote in and asked, will we ever find out the Doctor's name? And he said, it's got to a point now that no matter what name we come up with will never be as good as the name that you had imagined.
Yeah, it'll never be like satisfying. Like that's so many video. This is happening a lot of like video games these days, in that like you have to wait for years and years and years to get a sequel. And during that time, you, through all of the nostalgia you have for the previous title, through all the time you have to think about what you'd like to happen, you kind of build up and you set a really high bar. And then if the studio doesn't actually hit that bar, you're kind of like, well, this is bad then. It's like what happened with, I guess Kingdom Hearts 3 is a good example. We were waiting, and same with, I guess even Final Fantasy 15 as well. We were waiting for so long. We had so long to imagine what it could have been, that when it was released, it didn't meet the expectations of the people who have been waiting for it.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of the danger of these like long production cycles, which are needed, but like we kind of like, you're allowed to kind of run away with it. So
absolutely. So that's our thoughts, our review of the spring lineup. Let us know your thoughts. Are you still watching any of the anime we mentioned? Are you watching something different? Let us know, because we're always intrigued to see what everyone's watching, what they're not watching, etc. Be sure to, again, drop us a follow and give us a star rating on your favorite podcast platform. I'm getting a runny nose right now. Beautiful.
So professional.
A couple of weeks ago, I listened back to one of our episodes and I burped in it, and I said like I left it in. It is so loud through headphones. I apologize to everyone who had to hear that.
Everyone who endured.
Yeah, that spatial awareness.
And everyone who's still here after that. You're the real one. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Any words of wisdom, final words from you, Susude?
It's okay to go back to your nostalgia comfort anime. If that means that you stop watching all of the new stuff, that's fine. That'll stuff you can watch in another time.
Take breaks from it. Yeah, absolutely.
Take breaks. Enjoy a rewatch of a show you liked when you were, still in school. See if it held up.
If you're feeling kind of burnout, I think it's always a great idea to kind of use something as a palate cleanser, something that you've watched before, something that is older. I'm currently watching Black Clover. I never really stuck with it, and B, it's interesting to see something from a couple of years ago compared to something now.
Yeah.
So yeah, great words of wisdom from Susie.
I am showing my age. At the ripe old age of 23. Spouting so much old man nonsense,
But hey, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and all the relevant links will be in the description down below as always, and we shall see you in a fortnight. Thanks for your time. Peace.